Molly is a friend. Molly is a coworker. Molly is somebody that I have leaned on many occasions in the past, as she has done when it comes to me. We've been partners on the show for the last 10 years. And a lot of times some of these things happen and it's just uncomfortable to see. The details, quite frankly, are none of y'all business. But
it's like Stephen A put on his apology voice, whenever he gets into a scandal that he has to monologue an apology for. That was the same type of voice he was using at the top of today's show.
Stephen A. Smith wasn't just Molly Qerim's co-host. He was the man who allegedly kept her career on a leash. Insiders whisper that he still holds the receipts, proof that could shake ESPN to its core. While the public saw Molly's classy September 15th Instagram farewell, after much reflection, I've decided it's time to close this incredible chapter. Those who know the real story saw something else entirely. Behind the filters and polite captions, there was tension so thick you could cut it with a knife. On one side, her polished goodbye post. On the other, Smith's televised tribute on First Take. A strange mix of praise and possession.
Miss Molly Qerim, longtime host for ESPN's First Take, my day job, where she has been the last 10 years. Last night, she abruptly resigned as the host of the show. And to say that I'm quite sad about it is an understatement.
He spoke with that deep, dramatic voice, saying she was an enormous part of our success for a decade. But it sounded more like a speech rehearsed for the cameras than from the heart. Every word dripped with that fake sorrow fans have come to recognize from TV apologies. But listen closely. Not just here, listen.
It's not as if I know all the details. It was a contract negotiation that was going on. ESPN certainly did not want to lose her. But in the end, she made a decision to walk away from the show effective immediately. As you see from her Instagram post, her Instagram story.
That wasn't a man saying goodbye to a co-host. It was a man celebrating his control over the narrative. It felt less like a farewell and more like a power move. And if whispers from inside Bristol are true, Smith made sure Molly never forgot exactly who held the keys to her spotlight. Now here's where it gets wild.
This is a thankless job being a moderator. I know a lot of people who've sat in that same position on different shows, that show, and this, trust me, is a thankless position. It's hard to see somebody raise their hand and keep it up high for this long. I'm actually thoroughly surprised that Molly Qerim made it this long in that position.
They don't want you digging too deep or questioning those fake smiles and scripted hugs on camera. Behind the polished PR statements, there's a darker story insiders have been whispering about. A straight-up blackmail theory that's been heating up fast. This wasn't about contract numbers or salary talks like ESPN keeps pretending. That her deal was just up anyway? Excuse? Please. People close to the situation say this was a full-on power struggle, packed with hidden threats, secrets, and mind games.
Jason, I actually watched that whole video clip of Stephen A. Smith. I just thought it was funny. It ain't none of y'all business. It was a contract negotiation. Well, that was about the money. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks for cluing it. It's always about the money, though. It's like in boxing. Why didn't this fight happen? Easy. There wasn't enough money. I seriously, like, even if you think you can't win that fight, you pay a guy enough money, they're going to try their best, but they want that money.
According to those who saw it unfold, it wasn't a negotiation. It was a showdown, a toxic backroom standoff where every move came with consequences. Marcellus Wiley even dropped hints about it on his hydration situation podcast. And trust me, he wasn't just talking about money. He said something that had everyone's ears perk up. When he signs off on you, you get what you want. When he doesn't, you don't. That one line hit like a bomb, because it wasn't just commentary, it was a warning. Wiley, a man who's been through real NFL locker room politics, could smell the tension from miles away. And what he implied was crystal clear.
I thought that was a kind of an interesting segue that he had in terms of the Molly Qerim situation. And now that you say it, I'm thinking, are those two things connected? That maybe Stephen A. says, hey, I have great value. She's our point guard. I'm comfortable with her. Maybe the higher up said, hey, look, Stephen A., you got the money. The budget is the budget. And maybe, it's just a theory, just my opinion, Maybe he wanted Molly Qerim to get a little extra money, but again, it's not his money, not his budget.
Stephen A's approval was the golden ticket at ESPN. Without it, your career hit a dead end real quick. Multiple voices close to the First Take set claim Molly understood that better than anyone. She'd seen what happened when people stopped playing along. The price for saying no to Stephen A? So why would a seasoned pro like Molly Qerim, a woman who went toe-to-toe with Stephen A. Smith for nearly a decade, suddenly walk away from a $500,000 paycheck, a loyal fan base, and one of the most coveted seats on ESPN's flagship show? Not with a dramatic meltdown, not with an on-air blow-up, but with a quiet "thank you for the memories" post and a clean, mysterious exit that left everyone at ESPN scrambling for answers.
Because we talked about the whole Molly Qerim situation in the morning. We're thinking, okay, it's going to play out, and there's going to be a grand farewell, celebration show, goodbye. And she just Dear John'd him. She said, out. I was like, wow. So obviously, this is pretty obvious. At least from Molly's point of view, I don't think it was the most amicable split.
Something about that silence didn't sit right. People close to the situation say Molly wasn't asking for the moon. She just wanted more respect and a real seat at the decision-making table. Maybe her own show, or at least a shot to create something fresh inside the network. But instead of support, she got corporate ice, requests ignored, meetings postponed, and negotiations that suddenly went nowhere. According to those circling the situation, her ambitions hit a brick wall. And that wall looked a lot like Stephen A. Smith. Insiders say this wasn't about gratitude or moving on to the next chapter. No, the truth sounds way darker. Word is, Smith, armed with his massive contract, insider pull, and unmatched influence, allegedly used his power like a weapon. The rumor that he threatened to leak personal information about Molly if she dared to speak out or challenge him publicly. Sure, those close to the show call it alleged or unconfirmed, but here's the part that'll chill you. Nobody's laughing it off. Not one person in that building is treating it like a harmless internet conspiracy. We all saw the timeline play out right in front of us, but barely anyone caught what was really happening.
Let's remember, what did just last week, Stephen A. was on air bragging about the people he stood up for to get paid and how many, Cam, I did it for Shannon Sharp and I did it for this person and that person. And when I look at the abrupt, I'm not coming into work tomorrow.
Yeah.
That also is like, maybe there's pointing the finger at Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
Molly Qerim began negotiating for a raise or maybe a shift to a new role, something totally normal in any healthy network. But at ESPN, that's where things get dark. Insiders say the higher-ups, with Stephen A. Smith's not-so-invisible influence guiding the whole thing, instantly dug in their heels. Suddenly, every move she made hit resistance. Then came the so-called accidental leak. The Sports Business Journal mysteriously breaks the news that Molly would be leaving ESPN by the end of 2025 before she even had a chance to tell the world herself. A coincidence? Please. To those watching closely, it looked more like a warning shot fired right across her career. That leak wasn't random. It was a message. Don't test us. After that, silence. She never returned to First Take. No on-air goodbye, no emotional send-off, no final bow to her fans who'd watched her for years. Instead, she posted a short, carefully worded Instagram story, polished on the surface, but between the lines, her voice almost trembled with frustration and heartbreak. And the next morning, right on cue, Stephen A. stepped into the spotlight with a tribute that reeked of control. Soft lighting, emotional music, and a tone so sweet it almost felt poisonous. When he leaned in for that hug, it didn't sound like closure. It felt like a warning, a message to everyone watching. She's gone, and I'm still running the show.
Last night, after much reflection, I've decided it's time to close this incredible chapter and step away from First Take. Hosting this show has been one of the greatest honors of my career. Every morning I had the privilege of sharing the desk with some of the most brilliant, passionate, and entertaining voices in sports, and with all of you, the best fans in the world.
We started digging, asking insiders, producers, even off-the-record sources, and what came out of the fog was shocking. Molly Qerim's exit was so sudden it sent ESPN's top brass into full-blown panic mode. Burke Magnus, the network's president of content, rushed to do damage control, feeding The Athletic the same safe line. It's business. You try your best, and we just weren't totally aligned. Cute story, but nobody's buying it. If it was really just business, why did chaos break out behind closed doors? Why were there emergency meetings, hushed calls, and that mysterious 30 to 45-day tryout period for her replacement? That's not standard procedure. That's scrambling. The energy inside ESPN felt like something big had gone wrong, something they couldn't say publicly. And then there's Molly's final episode. Go back and watch that footage. Seriously, look at her body language. She's sitting upright, smile locked tight, every muscle tense like she's forcing herself to stay calm on live TV. That wasn't a casual goodbye. That was a coded SOS, the kind of smile people wear when they're saying goodbye under pressure. Meanwhile, Magnus kept delivering his usual polished, PR-perfect speeches, trying to sound calm while the entire building buzzed with whispers. His version of events, clean, controlled, corporate, clashed hard with the reality written all over Molly's face. Watch her eyes, her posture, the way her tone cracks for just a second. Was that really a farewell or a quiet escape from something much bigger than anyone realized?
Acknowledging my love and appreciation for her and what she's meant to me and what she's meant to the show. Because over the years, over the last decade or so, the things that we've accomplished, she was right there. And we could talk about me being the star of my daily television show. We could talk about the contributors that have been stars as well. We can even talk about me doing this show right now. You know, it's a hell of a lot easier to have a second job.
Let's talk money. Because the paycheck gap between Stephen A. Smith and Molly Qerim wasn't just unfair, it was insulting. Molly, the face of ESPN's First Take and the woman holding together one of the network's biggest shows, was earning around $500,000 a year. Meanwhile, Stephen A. tried $20 million, not even counting his extra $36 million Sirius XM deal. And that shiny new Monday Night Football gig ESPN handed him just days after Molly's exit. Coincidence? Please. You'd think a network that size could easily throw her a well-deserved raise, just a couple million to keep their enormous part of our success satisfied, right? But that's not how things work inside the ESPN power structure. That kind of money isn't for fairness. It's for control. Stephen A.'s massive paycheck isn't just salary, it's an insurance policy. As long as he's happy, the corporate machine keeps spinning, and everyone else fights for scraps. Marcellus Wiley even called it out, saying, "You're working at a network where Mina Kimes is making way more money than you, and Mina Kimes is number what? On what show? You're number 2 on the number 1 show." That wasn't a mistaken math. That was a deliberate message from the top. If you really want to see the hypocrisy in full motion, just rewind to Stephen A. Smith's Sirius XM monologue after Molly Qerim's exit. It's wild. He sat there giving this dramatic speech about how sad he was to see her go. He even said, "To say that I'm quite sad about it is an understatement." But come on. The man couldn't resist making it all about himself. Instead of focusing on her, he made sure to remind everyone that he didn't know all the details and that, quite frankly, the details are none of y'all's business. That's not empathy. That's manipulation with a smile. It was a flawless performance from someone who's mastered the art of controlling the story while pretending he's above the drama. Behind that polished delivery, you could practically hear the subtext, "I'm still the one calling the shots."
I'm not surprised. I'm only surprised at the timing. I'm surprised that she didn't just tap out over the weekend and they make no mention of it and they land that plane a lot softer than they did. This was an abrupt landing. This is an emergency exit. This is an emergency landing. This is one of those for a reason. I give you what a therapist told me. Therapist told me it's not just how things end, it's why are they ending that way?
Insiders say Smith loves keeping people guessing, dropping half-truths and cryptic lines that sound humble but sting with power. He even threw in, "That story is for her to tell." Do I have an idea? Of course I do. Am I gonna share it with you? No, classic Stephen A. Tease the audience, flex your inside knowledge, then pull back just enough to keep the leverage in your hands. It's his signature move. Create mystery, own the narrative, and make sure everyone stays talking about him. Meanwhile, Molly's been left trapped behind a wall of NDAS and PR filters, carefully avoiding his name in every interview since she left. According to insiders, the real reason behind Molly Qerim's silence isn't some peaceful new chapter. It's the dirt Stephen A. Smith allegedly holds over her. And no, this isn't your typical tabloid drama about who was dating who or what got said over lunch in the ESPN cafeteria. This goes way deeper. Sources say Smith's got something serious, something that could shake the building if it ever came out. One former producer even claimed that's exactly why Molly didn't fight back. No legal action, no public meltdown, no lawsuits, just a quiet exit wrapped in poise and silence. The people around her all started saying the same thing. She was put in an impossible position. On one side, a contract battle she couldn't win. On the other, a threat hanging over her head that she couldn't afford to test. What do you even do when the man sitting across the table holds all the power and all the secrets? And then, just as the dust settled, the universe handed Smith another golden trophy. ESPN announced him as part of Monday Night Football, sealed with a $100 million contract extension, plus the freedom to appear anywhere he wanted whenever he wanted. That's not just a promotion, that's a coronation. Meanwhile, Molly's out smiling on college panels, hosting small sports discussions, trying to rebuild her peace, while the seat she made iconic on First Take is still warm. ESPN's move to replace her was cold and calculated, a round of corporate musical chairs. 30 to 45 days of on-air tryouts, a sprinkle of PR buzz, and then quietly sliding a new face into her chair like nothing ever happened. Business as usual, right? Except anyone paying attention knows this isn't business, it's domination. It's intimidation dressed up as professionalism. So here's the real question. If Stephen A. Smith could allegedly silence Molly Qerim with just a whisper, what's stopping him from doing it again? The moment Molly Qerim walked out those ESPN doors, it was like she vanished overnight. The network moved fast, too fast, scrubbing her presence from every corner of their brand. That so-called 30 to 45-day tryout period suddenly became a parade of replacement hosts, each one with more energy but less history. It didn't feel like a search for new talent. It looked like a controlled purge, a live broadcast cleanup where Molly's decade of work was slowly erased from the highlight reels. Nobody mentioned her name, nobody asked why she was gone, and every thank you segment sounded more like a corporate cover-up than genuine respect. And while ESPN was busy pretending she'd never existed, Stephen A. Smith was out here leveling up like a man untouchable. Just days after Molly's exit, he strutted into his brand new Monday Night Football role, grinning like someone who just negotiated lifetime immunity. His rise wasn't subtle, it was a power statement. He even said it straight up, no filter. They know whatever they need me for, I'm doing First Take. That line said it all. Smith wasn't just holding his seat, he was multiplying it. He became the face of ESPN, the voice of every debate, the man no one dares to challenge.
So obviously the money matters, and I do think you make a good point. Most people have a rational thought process. Okay, if he's the alpha, everyone else has a place. But there is a belief that, hey, if you elevate your pay scale, and I'm only going to get 30% of what you're getting as the star, guess what? My 30% has to elevate with whatever you're getting. I kind of do understand that. And Jason, I was a little bit stunned.
Stephen A. Smith's tone after Molly Qerim's departure said it all. Not a trace of guilt, not even a hint of regret. He spoke like a man untouchable, like someone who knew there'd be zero consequences no matter how things looked. The message was crystal clear. Molly was replaceable and Smith was untouchable. Once she was gone, the rumor mill exploded. Molly's next move became tabloid fuel. Whispers about a possible $2 million Fox Sports deal, stay tuned, teases on social media, maybe even a side gig moderating UConn basketball panels. All speculation, nothing solid. For someone who helped define First Take, her future suddenly depended on rumors instead of recognition. Meanwhile, ESPN acted like she never existed. The same network she helped build from the ground up erased her faster than a bad headline. Her chair was still warm when Smith was already collecting new titles, new segments, and another round of multi-million-dollar contracts. Monday Night Football, First Take, Sirius XM, guest spots. The man's name was everywhere. It looked less like coincidence and more like a coronation. The network handing him the keys to every room. So here's the real question. Why would ESPN reward Stephen A. Smith with even more power after the most dramatic and suspicious exit in the show's history? Why does one person walk away with gold while the other's forced to rebuild from ashes? What mattered more to ESPN? Molly's decade of contribution or Stephen A's iron grip on control? To really understand what went down, you have to look deeper. This wasn't just a career clash, it was psychological warfare. Behind the smiles and scripted statements, it was all about leverage, secrets, and the fear of humiliation. People close to the situation claim Stephen A. Smith's hold over Molly Qerim went far beyond the professional realm. There were whispers he knew things, personal things, that could have flipped the entire story if they ever came out. What exactly did he have on her? That's the question everyone inside ESPN keeps dodging. Some point to the timing of her 2023 public revelation, when Molly opened up about her battle with endometriosis, something deeply personal she shared with honesty and bravery. But right after that disclosure, insiders say the tone of her contract talks changed. Fast. Suddenly, a moment of vulnerability started feeling like a potential weapon in the wrong hands. Did Smith use that to his advantage? Did he have something even deeper? Something personal enough to keep her quiet and compliant? Stephen A. Smith has a long track record of turning information and even tiny moments into weapons, and this time was no different. One of the clearest examples came live on air when he threw a so-called joke at Molly Qerim that had everyone in the studio frozen. He said, "You can ask Molly to do a lot of things. Asking her to fast and not eat, that's gonna be a problem for her." It was delivered with a grin, but the sting behind it was real. What looked like playful teasing was anything but. That wasn't lighthearted office banter. That was a power move, a calculated flex in front of millions of viewers. It was his way of reminding everyone who controlled the tone, who could turn a coworker's personal habits into a national punchline, and who had the authority to humiliate without consequence. Fans might have seen Molly stiffen up, try to laugh it off, but social media caught what ESPN tried to ignore. That wasn't comedy, it was dominance in real time. And it didn't stop there. The same pattern surfaced in his heated exchanges with Monica McNutt.
Report said she turned down the contract, which means that she had probably seen all that she wanted to see at the, at that network. Mind you, she has been with ESPN for 20 years. 20 years. If you do anything, or if you work for any company for 20 years, maybe after some time, maybe you'll get tired. Maybe you want to do something else. I don't know how much money Molly made. I'm sure she made very good money working on TV and working at that network.
Another woman who refused to bow to his ego on camera. Time and time again, Smith's debates with female co-hosts turned from sports talk into loyalty tests. Either you laughed at the jokes, stayed in your lane, or risked being frozen out of the conversation completely. For Molly, that dynamic became impossible to ignore. Every jab, every innocent tease felt like another reminder of the invisible line she wasn't supposed to cross. This is where ESPN's complicity jumps into the spotlight, and it's hard to ignore. Burke Magnus, the company's president of content, has been spinning the corporate wheel in every interview since Molly Qerim's exit. "There's no controversy here. There's no other shoe that's going to drop," he kept repeating. Pure corporate gaslighting delivered with a smile. He knew exactly what he was doing, smoothing over chaos with calm, practiced PR talk while pretending the smoke wasn't coming from a fire burning right under his desk. Magnus understood the difference between an uncomfortable truth and a tidy headline, but he stuck to the safe version like it was gospel. Meanwhile, Marcellus Wiley and other insiders were painting a completely different picture, one where Stephen A. Smith's blessing wasn't just influence, it was currency. According to those behind the scenes, if Smith didn't back you, your chances of getting a fair deal were dead on arrival. And that wasn't rumor. That was everyday reality inside the First Take control room. Then came the inconsistencies, piling higher by the week. Why did Molly resign immediately after that Sports Business Journal leak went public? Why did Smith's so-called heartfelt tribute on TV turn ice cold on his radio show just days later? And why did ESPN rush to cycle through one faceless replacement after another without ever pausing to address the real questions? Even Emmanuel Acho, a man who rarely holds his tongue, said it best. Don't chase clicks at the cost of the person who helped you build your empire. But that's exactly what ESPN did. They didn't protect Molly Qerim, they protected their golden boy. They didn't look the other way. They handed the keys of the empire straight to the man who already owned it. And that brings us to the elephant in the control room, Stephen A. Smith's growing empire, built brick by brick on the remains of anyone who dared to challenge him. While Molly's out here quietly reworking her resume, taking meetings with FOX, and trying to rebuild her reputation from scratch, Smith is everywhere, popping up on First Take, Monday Night Football, NBA Countdown, and even side appearances across ESPN's biggest shows. He's not just a commentator anymore. He's a brand, a one-man corporation, and ESPN knows it. His presence on Monday Night Football isn't just a triumph. It's a message. That trademark grin, it's not just confidence, it's dominance. A silent reminder to everyone still sitting under those studio lights. Play by his rules or prepare to disappear. At this point, Stephen A. doesn't need to shout his power. It's understood. Every new role, every contract extension, every camera angle with him front and center sends the same chilling warning. Toe the line or get wiped from the story like you were never part of it at all. From the very moment Molly Qerim's resignation started echoing through ESPN's hallways, the ripple effect was instant and impossible to ignore. Every conversation behind the scenes shifted, especially among the women on camera. What used to be quiet ambition, dreams of moderating First Take or sharing that stage with Stephen A. Smith, suddenly turned into hesitation and fear. The whispers grew louder than the official statements, and everyone knew exactly what they meant. If it could happen to Molly, it could happen to anyone. The message spread fast. Challenging the hierarchy wasn't just a career risk, it was professional.
But then you turn on First Take today and Stephen A. Smith is opening it up and he's bidding farewell to Molly, and it's clear that she's done for good. Like, this is it for her. I think it just speaks to the idea that whatever happened was not amicable and that they are not parting on seemingly very pleasant terms at this moment.
Yeah, I think that was clear to me too.
The cost of stepping out of line wasn't a demotion or a tough review, it was disappearance. No farewell episode, no press release, just gone. For every fresh face hoping to break into the spotlight, Molly's sudden exit became both a warning and a manual for survival. Stay in line or risk being erased. That shift created something dangerous, a new kind of silence. It wasn't forced by policy or written into contracts. It was psychological. Learned, absorbed, and reinforced with every episode that aired. Female analysts who once spoke openly about pay disparities, on-air treatment, or even simple creative opinions started toning it down. The sparkle that made their personalities pop was dimming. In editorial meetings, the energy changed too. The bold pitches, the playful jabs, the lively back and forths that made sports TV exciting, all of that started fading. Now, every sentence came with a silent checklist. Is this too risky? Could this offend the wrong person? Will this get me labeled as difficult? Even casual banter with Smith came with invisible caution tape. Proceed carefully, read the room, watch who's watching. The pressure to self-censor didn't come from HR emails or executive warnings. It came from watching what happened to people who dared to push too far. And with each quiet exit, each reshuffle that left more questions than answers, the message only got clearer. At ESPN, silence wasn't just survival, it had become the rule. Veterans and rising stars alike began to tread carefully through the halls of ESPN, weighing every word and every move. Sure, big names like Mina Kimes and Malika Andrews had their own kind of armor, shiny new contracts, loyal fan bases, and social influence that made them harder to silence. But even they felt the shift in the air. The energy had changed. Off camera, producers traded whispers about which topics were safe, quietly redrawing the invisible map of power that now ran the network. Staff members who once saw ESPN as a dream launchpad started walking on eggshells. Every disagreement carried a new kind of danger. One wrong comment, one tense exchange, and you might find yourself on the outside, watching your career vanish overnight. Molly Qerim's departure didn't just leave an empty chair on First Take, it left a shadow, one stretching across every green room, every pitch meeting, and every email thread that passed through Bristol's walls. Nobody knew where the lines were anymore, but everyone knew they were there, and that's the chilling part. This wasn't just about one anchor's exit. It became a warning, an unspoken rule carved into the silence that follows every power play. The kind of silence that keeps people smiling through gritted teeth, pretending not to notice when someone disappears from the set. So, what's left? The devastating truth that Molly Qerim's exit might have been more than a loss. It was a signal, a reminder that in the empire of ESPN, power speaks louder than principle. Because when the lights go up and the cameras roll, Stephen A. Smith is still right there. Perfectly lit, grinning wide, the kingmaker of sports television. Molly's gone, but the question lingers like an echo. How many others are still trapped in Stephen A.'s shadow? And what will it take for them to finally break free? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Does ESPN reward power over integrity, or is this all just business as usual? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. And we'll see you on the next one. Stay sharp, stay tuned, and don't blink. The next move might already be happening.